When we forget that we are not physical beings having a spiritual experience, that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, we begin to feel like something essential is missing. We forget who God is, and we forget who we are. Hello, friends, and welcome back to The Free Advantage, brought to you by The Risky Path. I'm Heather Davis, and I want to invite you to join me each week as we explore self-discovery, authenticity, and the journey to recovering a life of freedom. This podcast is about sharing and exploring impactful experiences that we all share in a relatable and digestible way. With so much information out there, it can be overwhelming to take it all in. But here, I want to give you small bites that you can take back into your week and integrate into your daily life. Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited about today's episode. If you have been journeying with us through this Holy Living series, you know we've been reconnecting to the parts of ourselves that often get lost in the noise. First, our body, then our hearts, then our mind. And now, we come to the root of it all, our spirit. The fourth and final pillar of our Holy Living, A Journey to Your Authentic Reveal series. Spiritual alignment is what keeps us grounded, bringing all of the parts of us together. How often do we as a culture overlook the most important part of who we are? When we disconnect from our spirit, we disconnect from ourselves and others, leaving us feeling alone and lost like a ship at sea. We become broken, battered, and torn, and we are at the mercy of our environment and our atmosphere. Whether you believe in God or a higher power, we are being called back to our spirits to realign with, to connect back to ourselves and live whole. We live in a world that wants us to believe that our spirits aren't important. There is not much focus, education, or real communication out there on our spirits. The thoughts of the physical, like how good we look or should look, they overwhelm and cloud our vision. And the ideas of the mental, education, technology, and productivity, the hustle of life, it consumes our thoughts while the world plays on our emotions with marketing and advertisement and social media. It controls how we feel and how we behave. But there is definitely less emphasis on our spiritual lives, and it makes sense. The world doesn't want us to align and connect with our spirit, because when we do, we begin to love ourselves for how and who we are. We begin to take time to understand ourselves and educate ourselves on personal growth instead of the growth of the world. And we begin to bring our emotions into perspective. We begin to listen to ourselves and not be swayed by every picture, voice, and tune that we hear. The world wants us to believe the illusion it has created, that everything, and I mean everything, the more the better, is good. The problem is that the everything is typically things that drive chaos, discontent, and discourse. And when we believe this, if anything and everything is good, we start to lose our sense of self, of what is right and wrong. Our morality goes out the window, and our spirits become marred and pressed down in the chaos of the world. This illusion causes us to live in a constant, perpetual state of longing, yearning and searching for more. We begin to consume, and consume some more. We are in search of purpose, contentment, fulfillment, and joy, yet the more we consume, the less we find. We begin to separate ourselves from the truth that first and foremost, we are spiritual beings. And whether you believe in God, the universe, or some other higher power, or nothing at all, there is something within us that longs for meaning, connection, and truth. Our spirits aren't accessories to our lives. They are our lives. And they are in much need of healing. Like a heart in distress, our spirit sends out signals. Exhaustion, hopelessness, that gnawing feeling that something's missing. We lose our sense of purpose, our clarity, and our peace. When the heart is blocked and blood can't flow the way it's meant to, doctors create a bypass, a new pathway, a route that restores life-giving flow to what was once blocked or broken. And I believe the same is true for our spirit. When we're spiritually disconnected, we have been cut off from ourselves, our own spirit, from divine direction, from the deeper truth of who we are. It's like we're living with a blocked spiritual artery. We're still going through the motions, we're still technically alive, but we're not living fully, freely, and wholly. We need a spiritual bypass. A spiritual bypass is about creating space for divine connection to move through us again. It's saying, even if I don't know the way forward, I'm open. I'm willing to reconnect, to reawaken. And just like a physical bypass reroutes the blood to keep the heart alive, a spiritual bypass reconnects us to ourselves, to God, our inner compass, and to the greater purpose we were designed for. Wholeness can't exist without our spirit. It's not just a piece of who we are. It's the very breath that gives life to everything else. This kind of soul misalignment doesn't always show up loud, but it shows up. And for me, it did it in the quiet unraveling of everyday life. There have been many seasons in my life where everything looked fine on the outside. But inside, I felt like I was going crazy. I didn't know who I was or where I was going. I felt tired, scared, and unsure of everything. And I didn't feel like any decision I was making was right, and it seemed that I would just keep waking up to the same day all over again. I tried to fill the void with scrolling, shopping, constant busyness. I would make more work for myself than humanely possible for one person, and then I would blame myself when I couldn't do it all. I wasn't listening to the signals. I wasn't paying attention. When they popped up, I would just drown them out with more of the same. It wasn't until I got to a place where I eventually never wanted to do anything. Everything felt so exhausting. Everything felt purposeless, and I felt like every day I was walking through mud just to get through. I started to seclude and isolate, thinking I'm just burnt out and I need a vacation. But the truth was, there is no vacation where I wouldn't return to my life. No adventure long enough or far enough that would make me feel whole. It was then that I started my journey. I have adventured far and wide and deep, but instead of the landscape of this world, I explored the breadth of myself. I returned to my spirit, to that deep, still place inside where God speaks softly and clearly. It was not easy. It was not overnight, but no trip worth taking ever is. That's the adventure. And what I found out there was me. If you have ever felt like everything looked fine on the outside, but inside you felt lost, aimless, like you were just going through the motions, that's often a sign that your spirits are misaligned and fragmented. I think so many of us are doing all the things to try and feel better and find purpose, but we still feel off. When we neglect the most important part of who we are, we live disconnected from spirit, we become fragmented and unable to live whole. We were created to live in divine connection, to move from a place of truth, not performance. And when we forget that, we are not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. We begin to feel like something essential is missing. We forget who God is, and we forget who we are. We are created in the image of God, not the image of hustle or hardship or proving your worth. We have been designed to live connected, to be a vessel for divine presence, not a machine for human approval. When our spirit is whole, our life begins to align. Decisions become clearer, relationships become more rooted, and our energy flows in the direction of meaning, not exhaustion. And we begin to find purpose and to live fully, freely, and wholly. To live whole-spirited is to live with spiritual alignment, tuning in to the quiet guidance that has always been within you. It means recognizing that your worth, your direction, and your purpose are divine. If you have been listening in and following each week in this series, we have been doing a reflection and reveal challenge to practice wholeness. And I will want to invite you, if you will, to join me this week in practicing living whole-spirited. I want you to ask yourself, where have I become just a remnant of my spiritual self? Reflect on this, and then answer the following questions. Where in my life have I bought into the illusion that more is always better? Take a moment. Pause and ask yourself, Am I filling my time, space, or mind with things that leave me more disconnected than fulfilled? And 2, what signals is my spirit sending me right now? And have I been listening? Is it exhaustion? A sense of restlessness? Feeling lost? These aren't just feelings to fix, they're invitations for us to realign. And 3, have I been living more as a physical being chasing spiritual experiences or as a spiritual being grounded in truth? How you answer this might show you what's really driving your choices, your energy, and your priorities right now. And last but not least, what would it look like to create space for a spiritual bypass? To reconnect with the divine and with the deeper truth of who you are. Now, our reveal. This week, I want you to take time to create a bypass. Find a new path forward from the chaos of life and return to the quiet wisdom of your spirit. To start, let's set a space. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted, light a candle, bring your favorite beverage, and surround yourself with something that grounds you. Set a timer for 20 minutes. For the first 10 minutes, we are simply going to be still. No music, no journaling, just you and the silence. Let your thoughts come and go without judgment. Breathe and let yourself notice what comes up. Once you have done this, for the next 10 minutes, we will journal, meditate, or pray, whichever works best for you. Our goal here is to bring awareness back to yourself, your core, your foundation, your spirit. Then I want you to write down what emanates from within. We have everything we need to maneuver this world within. We are equipped. We just often don't listen and access what we have. Your spirit and God will guide you and show you the new path forward. When you're done, I want you to close with a simple, honest intention. Write one sentence that expresses your intention and carry that with you throughout your day and week. And if this exercise doesn't work for you, please find one that does. I pray that you allow yourself the space to reconnect. Living whole-spirited is about listening and aligning with the truth of who we are and connecting with the divine. When you begin to live whole, body, heart, mind, and spirit, you start to see differently. You don't just function, you feel. You don't just survive, you surrender. And you don't just strive, you stand in truth. This is the beginning of your authentic reveal. Because once your spirit is aligned with truth, you become ready to uncover who you were truly created to be. Next week, we will continue our series, Holy Living, A Journey to Your Authentic Reveal, where we'll talk about identity, divine design, and what it really means to live authentically as we truly are. But for now, I want you to align, seek, and come into wholeness. For those of you who are looking to dive a little deeper, I have created special workbooks for each of the episodes in this series. You can find them on my website, theriskypath.com, or you can find in each of the episodes, the show notes and the description will both all have a link. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today on The Free Advantage. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear this message. And don't forget to please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Your voice matters, and it helps us to grow and get our message out to more people just like you. Let's continue our journey to freedom together. And remember, freedom is the advantage you already own. Until next time.